Some of the most extreme typhoon footage I've seen here in 2013. This footage shot by videographer James Reynolds there in southern Taiwan as Typhoon Usagi skirted the southern coast of the country, but still winds roaring up to 170 kilometers per hour were reported there. You can see these waves crashing ashore, but not just that, this very dangerous storm surge. Many of these fishermen trying to save their boats, and James Reynolds even became involved himself in one part here where you can see the fishermen there trying to escape the dangerous situation he was in there on his fishing boat. So very, very serious situation. This is something people deal with across much of the southern portion of the country of Taiwan, and also even extending down across much of southeastern Asia, but that really puts it in perspective. At this time, though, the storm is still pulling off here towards the west. Really, we're continuing to see that heavy rainfall, these gusty winds even as far north as Taipei. Also been seeing tropical storm strength winds as far south as the Manila metropolitan area. We have heard reports of power outages, several reports of tornadoes even there across portions of Luzon. Also, at least 4 reports of landslides damaging homes out there into Luzon as well. And not to mention, there has been 2 casualties reported and 2 people are still missing. So a very serious situation, wide-reaching effects of this storm system, and now it is moving out there towards Hong Kong. Signal force warning 3 is in place as of making this update. It is going to continue to climb, and I would not be surprised if by Sunday afternoon, Hong Kong is going to be under signal force warning 8, which basically means typhoon strength winds overhead. Worst of the weather is going to be expected there around 10 p.m. Hong Kong Standard Time, as the storm does track off there towards the northwest. Makes a landfall basically directly over Hong Kong. This is less than 24 hours out, and we're fairly high confidence at this time. It will likely skirt the northern edge of Hong Kong Island, bringing these winds in from the northern periphery starting right around 6 to 8 p.m. Hong Kong Standard Time. The winds coming out of Victoria Harbor along the northern edge of that island there up to typhoon strength. Right now, winds are 85, gusting up to 120 knots. It is expected to decrease in intensity as it does continue to push off there towards the northwest. Main region, a little bit more dry air. Also, we're seeing slightly cooler sea surface temperatures, but as it makes landfall, I don't want people to be misled by a slightly weaker storm system, because this is still a strong and potent typhoon as it pushes over the Hong Kong area. Really the equivalent of a Category 2 or maybe a weak Category 3 hurricane in the Atlantic. By JMA, JTWC, and the Hong Kong Observatory even keep the intensity slightly stronger. Right now, 110, gusting up to 135 knots. Also, you notice 47 feet, and you may think that's a little extreme, but it has been confirmed, at least close to it. 43 feet reported at Pranas Buoy there towards the southwest of Taiwan. Speaking of Taiwan, heavy rainfall, upwards of about 550 millimeters reported at one location there in the southeastern portion of the country. This is just showing over the 24-hour period here on Saturday, and those areas in lighter pink upwards about 300 millimeters. So still a very serious risk of flooding, not to mention the high waves and the damaging winds, but the risk of flooding and landslides is definitely still there, and it's going to be there all the way out through Sunday night. Now let's take a look at a few of the models here. This is the ECMWF going into right around 5 p.m. Hong Kong Standard Time, and really you can start to see those tighter gradient, these lines in the light blue. And now once you get these lines closer and closer together as the storm pushes closer to shore, that means the winds are going to be dramatically picking up. And we can show the same time period, but pull up the winds in knots. And while those areas where the lines get closer together, that's where you see that dramatic increase up here into the darker pinks and into the purples. Those lighter purples actually indicating upwards about 75 knots or greater. So we're talking about a strong Category 1 to a Category 2 equivalent of a hurricane here on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Pushing off there towards the west, though, Hong Kong, it does look like, at least according to this particular model, direct landfall. The worst of the weather setting in late into the evening, basically directly overhead right around midnight, as it does continue to push overhead, then eventually off there towards the west. This is looking right around 5 a.m. in the morning, but still these tropical storm strength winds are going to be overhead. That is with the ECMWF. GFS also painting a very similar picture as we look ahead. This is right around, actually, about 3 a.m., and it's right overhead here, and we are seeing these winds come directly on shore. In this GFS scenario, actually the most recent run, they don't track it north of the island as per the JMA track. They take it just south, and I think that is a big difference, because if it goes here, we're going to be seeing as the strongest winds along the northern periphery, but if it goes here, it's going to be wrapping around and funneling through Victoria Harbor, and there's a pretty decent risk of a storm surge as well. Not to mention these very damaging winds. And the other problem in Hong Kong is all the high-rise buildings. If you're up there into one of the top of these skyscrapers, the winds very well could be about 30 to 40% stronger than they are at the surface. So if you're getting 100-knot winds, for example, at the surface, winds in some of these high-rise buildings could be upwards about 130 knots. So something to keep in mind as the storm does come ashore. We're definitely going to continue to watch it here on the day on Sunday. James Reynolds and Jim Eds, the same people who provided that footage earlier on, quickly flew back from Taipei this evening. Now they're back there in Hong Kong getting ready for the storm system, a second intercept. So definitely look for footage from them. Please continue to check in at the website and follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information on this very dangerous and deadly storm system, Typhoon Usagi. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there.